remember that they're changing my voice. I'm not gay. I'd first like to point out that in order for us to address why Layla is wrong, we have to explain the difference between being entitled and demanding your rightful place. For example, if you worked for a company for a month and they said they're going to pay you monthly and they didn't pay you, and a year went by and they still didn't pay you, are you entitled if you demand your paycheck? No. If you were Kobe Bryant when he was alive and uglier basketball players had no problem getting an attractive female, okay, and the females were shunning you, would you say, hey, what's going on here? Why are they shunning me? And if 70 years went by, 10 years went by, and they're still shunning you, wouldn't you be like, what the hell is going on? Now, if you stood for what's right, and that's why they're shunning you, wouldn't you be like, what the hell is going on here? And wouldn't you be angry at them? Should you be angry at him for saying, hey, I'm standing for what's right, and I'm a good-looking guy and athletic and so on and so forth, nice personality or whatever, if you want to call it that. I mean, some people consider it that. Or should you be mad at them for shunning him in the situation where he's standing for what's right and he's being shunned? Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. There's a difference between what the hell is going on here in a society where there's sex cults and corporations all over the place and some spoiled brat saying, hey, why doesn't every hot chick throw themselves at me? Now let's look at it in terms of social status. This is such a significant part of Western culture that they teach it at college. And I have a college degree, mind you. In sociology classes. I've taken psychology classes and I've taken sociology classes in college before. I know for many reasons. I've seen many videos on psychology and videos related to sociology in the economy and where the economy and sociology overlap and what have you, where economics and sociology overlap. However, it's common sense that's more important than what you're taught in school on this issue. I've never even heard of a brain surgeon's son other than me who's been shunned by attractive females. Unless he was retarded or something, but I haven't even heard of that. It's unheard of. I'm the son of 2 doctors, 1 a brain surgeon. And I'm not cocky, but I notice the competition, what have you, and I'm more handsome than the vast majority of people, and where it matters most in all people in terms of character. Because character is really what makes someone good looking, authentically good looking versus artificial and putting on a front. And at one point, I had a picture, that everyone with sense agrees is the most handsome picture ever taken because of who I am in reality. I strike at world record speed historically with focused moral intensity. That particular expression of morality is the most sought after thing in human history by people with wisdom. Why? It's in the Bible, Proverbs 30 verse 4. Who holds the wind of God, the Spirit of God in his fists? David versus Goliath. The sword of Scripture. It's in every movie you can think of, right? Cinderella, right? Some prince coming to save the day. Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. It's a recurring theme, but in its true form. It's not white privilege. It is the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order. Now, I don't expect you to understand what I mean by that. It's a long topic. But it has to do with something more graceful and far more divine than the idea of the Black Panther. It has to do with something that is specific and hard to explain. One way to try to explain it is a very heterosexual idea. It's like a pharaoh without the lipstick, without the makeup, who's divinely forged from divine, righteous, heterosexual, masculine martial arts. It's very difficult to explain. But as we consider the evidence here, in order to make a rational decision, a logical decision, we have to look at the situation and say, What does it mean for a brain-searching son who's made thousands of videos trying to make the world a better place, for him to be shunned, for him to be on the internet and historically in clubs and libraries and at parks and schools and on and on and on, and to still be shunned by attractive women in the most populated state in the country, in the most liberal state? What does it mean for me to be shunned? There's a degree of racism. There's a degree of materialism. There's a degree of cancel culture. These are real things that we have to address. The answer isn't to just say, well, he's entitled. That's stupid. Name one brain. Go try to find me a brain-surgeon son who's handsome, who's shunned by attractive females in a populated state who spent a long time looking for him. It just doesn't happen. They're the ones who feel entitled to shun the most righteous person ever out of racism and materialism and narcissism, and to date the enemies of universal pinpoint and moral precision. That is a satanic and toxic entitlement. How often do they feel empowered in some cult, the Eastern Star, in a sex cult, driving some fancy car with some fancy purse? They think they're too good for Mr. Right in his right mind, on the right path, doing the right thing. The failure of females' judgment, attractive females' judgment, is appalling. And the idea of settling is so horrible that it's named after the deity Set, who's a deity of organized rape by deception, again, by deception, calculated deception, trickery, using social norms and making the norms and the rules in society, structuring the corporations, creating cultures and canceling cultures so that people date a certain way. Look up eugenics. A key reason why you're wrong, write this down. I hope that you write this down, is eugenics. It is the scientific control of reproduction. And it was inspired by scientific racism. It was pure evil. The guy who coined it, Francis Galton, was a Freemason. He said that the purpose of eugenics was to improve or impair racial qualities, right? Using the agencies under social control, using institutions, using social clubs, using the government, the military, the police, using teachers at school, using the existing social norms, using psychology and sociology. This issue is a huge and profound and deep issue. The answer isn't to try to scratch the surface and in a way that leads you to a preposterous and absurd conclusion and to say, hey, he feels entitled. If you were to study it carefully, you would find that if a woman was raped, she would suffer far less psychological abuse in her life, on average, logically, than somebody who's shunned for the best years of his life, and it continues and continues. And I'm 43 years old now. In my entire life as a brain-searching son, handsome guy, as a top martial artist, good-looking, good family, you name it, I've had about 2.5 years of relationships all put together. Out of 43 years, I'm going to be 44 this year. I've been making videos about morality and God and the right thing with no viable counterargument for 16 years, and I have a top martial arts challenge where I offer $100 million so I'm compensated for all the sabotage against me, which I have 23 witnesses to, mind you. $60,000 if I'm not, $50 just to show. The word martial has the word marital in it for a reason, because the ideal man is the top martial artist. The ideal man of all time is the top martial artist ever possible. And write this down. When you consider technology, cheating, breeding, and generational ill-gotten gains, you see them right. I'm so right that the word tech is the word cheat scrambled without the A, without the alpha. But you still have the same sound, T-E-C-H, right? Scrambled C-H-E-T. It's like C-H-E-A-T. And the word tech is like the word teach. They've taught females to shun me. And they're using tech, control breeding, cheating, and generational ill-gotten gains to cheat me out of a suitable helper, out of love when God is love. When what is life without true love? So as you can see, it is these arrogant, foolish conservatives and liberals and progressive females who think that life is better when you're sleeping with Lex Luthor and Dick Dastardly and stuff like that than with the most righteous man that ever lived, who strikes with all his heart with righteousness from God at world record speed. Not only are they wrong and entitled and foolish, But what they're doing is pure evil. If you don't understand that I'm right at this point, you are crazy.